Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today we're going to talk about base game lords. These are the standard ones that have released at the launch of Warhammer 1, Warhammer 2, or maybe Warhammer 3. You see, the grand majority of base game lords don't really get a lot of attention when it comes to future patching, which means that they'll largely stay the same throughout the lifespan of the series, not really counting anything like reworks that come into effect that fix up the race as a whole. So characters like Call Friends, Balthazar Gelt, and a few others will stay rather generic in terms of mechanics, even though they could be powerful in their own right. Gelt is the perfect example, very strong character, but his faction really has nothing unique. It's only just got the Electrocount mechanic, and it's a bit disappointing. Now this has been noticeable, but not too noticeable in a way, as DLC has been coming out more and more and we've been seeing little updates here and there. However, I feel it's become very noticeable when Shadows of Change launched. Whether you purchase the DLC or not, you've probably seen gameplay, you've probably seen footage, and you can tell that why is there a point of playing Zhao Ming and Miao Yin when you've got the inherently better character in Yuan Bo? I feel like this is the strongest one, mostly because when you look towards Tzeentch, you've got the Changeling and obviously Kairos. Both of them are perfectly fine as they are. I know some people do complain about Kairos, but I mean in terms of distinction, right? So you've got two completely different factions. The same thing could be said with regards to Kislev too, but it's a little bit of a grey area, mostly because you've got three characters that basically do the exact same thing. Boris Ursus, in theory, should have his own mechanics, rather than just supporting one or the other. Like I said, Immortal Empires has fixed up that. Even if it was just reskinning mechanics, it did make Volkmar a little bit more interesting. Manfred also, who, interestingly enough, is a base game lord. There's a thing here where Creative Assembly said that they want to make loads of factions feel quite unique, but don't want to do so with the base game lords so much because they want to make sure that they are the base faction, right? The standard faction for all those specific races. This is done for newer players who might want to try out the vampire counts for the first time, so now they'll have to play with Vlad. Or if they want to try out, I don't know, the Lizardmen for the first time, which I don't know why you would, the Lizardmen are in a horrible state right now, you'd try out Mazdamundi. The problem is that there's been no inclination that this is going to happen again. It's happened for Immortal Empires, but since then we've had two content drops, the Forge of the Chaos Dwarves and obviously Shadows of Change, and yeah, nothing. So maybe they've gone back on what they said, or, and most likely, management have decided, well, there's no money in that, so why are we going to be nice to the player base? But if we look towards, say, for example, the Greenskins, there are a lot of characters here, and I'm hoping there'll be a few more in the future, because the Greenskins do need a few more bits of content here and there, but out of all the characters, really I'm more inclined to play maybe just Grom, or one of the other factions if I want to play base game, but Grom is the most unique character there. He's got the unique mechanic. And yes, I know a lot of people would be saying here, well, there's Skarsnik, and he's got a unique mechanic where he can't recruit orcs until he gets Karak 8 peaks, and I would say that's not really a mechanic, that's more of a restriction. And we do have a bunch of characters in this series which frankly deserve a lot more attention, so they're given a little bit more of a unique feel. I mean, you know, Lord Skroak, who's leading Clan Pestilence at the moment, you know, he needs a plague mechanic. It's literally just take the one from the Nurgle faction and switch it up. Malekith, give him something to do with trying to become the Phoenix King again, something which is embedded into his lore, launching invasions into Ulthuan. You can already get that a little bit with Hellebron, but do it a little bit differently and there you go. Add some flavor to characters that kind of need it, just so people can be more incentivized to play that. If your favorite races, say for example again the Dark Elves, you're going to want to be able to play all the Dark Elves a little bit differently, aren't you? It doesn't have to be unique mechanics. Volkmar and Manfred basically, well, not even basically, they just use a reskinned version of the Tomb King stuff. It does make their campaigns a little bit more enjoyable just because, yeah, you know, it's different. It gives them a little bit of fresh air, and it gives you more reason to play these factions. Granted, most of you that play the Empire will only play Call Friends, but again, something a little bit different, some more flavor to give you variety, which is incredibly important in a world as diverse as the Warhammer franchise. The reason why I'm talking about this is not just because of the DLC bloat, which is very obvious. It's also the case of CA needs to start providing more. They made that promise during Immortal Empires launch that factions were going to get updated slowly and surely, and yet we've seen nothing of it. we need to start seeing updates. We need to start seeing them actually proving that they care about this title. Obviously, they know it's their big money maker, and that it'll actually get supported. It's one of these things that I've been thinking about a lot lately because, listen, while DLC is like, what, every 4 months or so? That's more or less what the roadmap is mostly suggesting. Then why not in a patch, you know, the patch that comes out after 2 months after a DLC, have a rework for a faction, have something there to give people more incentive to play again, give people much more reason to keep playing. This is also kind of fueled by the fact that they said, you know, the major DLC patches, like 4.0, we're going to have race updates, and let's be honest, we really didn't see that much. No changes to Tzeentch, barring adding in the DLC units, and pretty much, yeah, Cafe got a bit of a rework for Harmony, but it's still not substantial enough. It doesn't really make Zhao Ming or Miao Yin any more interesting, and, well, Kislev, you know, what did Kislev get? The ability to be able to build on, you know, the Chaos territories without suffering too much, because once you have that territory fully, you can use a commandment, which now works, by the way, what, 3 weeks later, that we finally got a hotfix to actually make sure that it works in most locations. And the patches themselves are, in fact, getting smaller lately. The only difference is that they're doing a lot more multiplayer fixes, which, I'll be honest with you, I don't care about too much. I understand that there is a community for that, but the campaign is in an awful state. Multiplayer could be better, let's be honest. There's been hearing a lot of things that the ogres are just outright banned in tournaments because they're broken right now. So it's pretty much affecting all of us, which is pretty bizarre from their flagship title. You'd think it'd be getting more attention than, say, for example, Pharaoh, which just recently posted a, oh, we're listening video. You know, one of those development highlights things saying, you guys wanted this, so we gave you this. What the hell is that for Warhammer 3? The hotfixes are good, mind you, I'm not knocking them. It's actually quite nice that we're seeing more hotfixes happening more regularly, but we do need more consistent patching, we do need more quality of life changes, and we do need this game not to be on life support. It's something that I've been feeling a lot lately, and I know I'm not the only one. There's a bunch of creators, there's a bunch of people in the forums and so on that are feeling the exact same way. I feel like fixing up some factions, especially, you know, during outside the DLC periods, might be a good way for Creative Assembly to say sorry about the recent situation. They'll never flat out admit it, because companies don't like to do that, which, in all honesty, is one of the most pathetic things that people can do. You're only human. Even if you are a manager at Creative Assembly, doesn't mean that you're some sort of god. Just admit your mistake and prove that you can do better. But what do you guys think about this? Should factions get a little bit of attention in between DLC drops, or should they wait? My only worry is that there's a lot of factions that do need a little bit of help and they're not getting the attention that they deserve. And by the time that their races get touched up upon, it might be years down the line. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion. I'm just hoping that Creative Assembly are listening with these types of things, mostly because, yeah, it's kind of frustrating, right? But yeah, have a good day, guys. I'll see you soon.